Hello Namibia, and welcome to your daily lunchtime show where we get to catch up on current events and headlines that are in the news. My name is Priska Agnolo, and thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. Let's get started. On the COVID-19 front, over the 7 days ended on Monday, another 25 healthcare workers tested positive for COVID-19 compared to 35 during the same period before that. This brings the total number of healthcare workers who contracted the virus in Namibia to 1,686. Of this number, 1,297 work at state facilities and 381 at private institutions. 4 care workers in the employ of NGOs have tested positive. The recovery rate amongst this group increased to 98% from 96% a week before. The graphic shows that cases remain very small compared to the crest of the second wave. Of the 25 new cases, 8 were reported in Windhoek. The Oshana, Oshikoto, Ohangwena, and Othoronjupa regions recorded 3 cases each, with single cases reported in 5 other regions shown on the map. No new cases were reported in the south of Namibia. Join us again tomorrow when we look at quarantine data for the different regions. Moving on to the video inserts for today. In our first video, employers and supporters of Air Namibia are protesting against the liquidation of the national airline in the capital. A petition will be handed over at the SWAPO headquarters and the Minister of the Prime Minister, actually the Office of the Prime Minister. Ogeto Craig submitted this clip.
This is the culture. One of song. This is the culture. Up the workers!
African Youth and Adolescents Network, or AFRIAN as it is known by its acronym, paid a courtesy visit to the Othoronjupa governor yesterday. The aim was to get the governor's permission to start operating in the region while seeking ways in which to collaborate with his office and other existing bodies in the region. Ashwell Forbes gave a presentation of the project that they would like to launch in the region. Esther Kamati was there.
Because it's one thing saying use a condom, it's a different thing demonstrating in terms of a role play, in terms of Gaza saying it, in terms of a young person saying it. I'm not saying you are old, I'm not saying I am young, but I'm saying is that if we have someone 14-year-old explaining to a 12-year-old, he's going to listen more to the 14-year-old than what they will listen to anybody sitting in this room here today. So that is the whole narrative of changing the whole aspect, and that is why YouthWise is a platform whereby young people speak towards young people. And then this is why we want to enter into your region. The next slide would show. So this is technically the regions that we are operating in. As you can see, the Otjisanchupa is number 2 that we want to start impacting now. And the reason why we want to come into Otjisanchupa is now on the next slide. It is stated there, the problems that we are facing. Unfortunately, Otjisanchupa is becoming one of the regions that teenage pregnancy is on the increase. New infections among all the other age groups, new infections of HIV is decreasing. In the whole of Namibia, it's decreasing. But among adolescents between the age of 10 and 19, it's on the increase. And we have realized in Otjisanchupa, it's also on the increase because the numbers now are speaking volumes that we can't ignore it anymore.
Moving on to our third video insert for today, Jackson Muma, Communication Officer of the Ongwediva Town Council, has assured the public that the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair will take place from the 20th to the 28th of August this year. However, discussions are still underway on how it will be hosted.
The management of Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair is busy, together with the preparatory committee, looking at avenues of hosting the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair 2021. And our plan is that we need to engage various stakeholders, including our exhibitors, so that we see how best we can navigate through the COVID-19, and also putting cognizance the fact that there are regulations that are, guiding every operations. Now, once consultation is done and everything is in place, we'll then get to the public to inform them in which manner and fashion the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair is going to be held. So obviously, the plan is to have it this year, and we will now look at whether to have it virtually or conventionally, and that also depends on how comfortable the situation is or how better the COVID situation has improved. But for the public to be rest assured that the annual trade fair of Ongwediva will be hosted this year in August from the 20th to the 28th. That's actually for 9 days as usual.
And now we move on to the front pages of our newspaper dailies. Namibian Sun reports that Air Namibia is yet to officially file for liquidation as the airline awaits government's formal decision on its future amidst a political storm. This is according to interim CEO Theo Berirua, who was tentatively tasked to ensure a voluntary liquidation resolution is registered with the Business and Intellectual Property Authority before tomorrow, the 18th of February. With liquidation unlikely to be completed before tomorrow amidst political bickering, Challenge Air lawyers plan on attaching the national airline's assets unless $107 million Namibian is paid by tomorrow. Republican reports that only about $98 million Namibian has been paid out in the national aid scheme against the COVID-19 pandemic, or rather 15% of the budgeted $652 million Namibian that the Social Security Commission SSC and the government have jointly made available for the purpose. The SCC continues to pay out claims to qualifying companies and individuals. While the deadline for applications for financial aid was the July 30th, payouts continue for eligible employees and employers, the SCC spokeswoman said. Unomengi Kaupirura confirmed. Allgemeine Zeitung reports opposition to the liquidation of the insolvent airline Air Namibia continues to mount. Mass protests are to take place in Windhoek today. Meanwhile, the Engineers Association and the IPC party have also called on decision makers to reverse the liquidation. Save our national pride. The workers' union TUCNA is today calling for a mass protest against the liquidation of the airline in Namibia. The protest will start at the TUCNA headquarters in the Commersdal district and end at the Parliament Gardens. However, TUCNA has not given a time as of yet. At the same time, the NUNW union has called on all Namibian workers and peace-loving Namibians to join the protest. The protest will start at 9 a.m. at the NUNW headquarters. The Namibian reports that a European company has instructed Air Namibia to return 2 of its biggest aeroplanes this week after government's decision to shut the airline down. Air Namibia's current fleet includes the 2 leased Airbus A33-200 aircraft, 2 Airbus A319-100 planes, and 4 Embraer ERJ-135s. Air Lease AT wrote to Air Namibia last Friday, explaining that they would trigger a clause in the contract that allows them to have the 2 aircraft returned. New Era reports that the city of Windhoek has approved the allocation of land to households in low-income areas that have been on the city's waiting list. The city also has resolved to upgrade the informal settlements. Windhoek Mayor Job Amupanda made these revelations during a media briefing in the capital yesterday following the Ordinary Council meeting on Monday evening. Amupanda revealed that there is land readily available, of which more than 3,000 residents will be approved to get plots. And moving on to the inside pages of the country's dailies. Namibian Sun reports that the Association of War Orphans of the Liberation Struggle of Namibia said various atrocities including mass killings, rape, land disposition, theft of movable property, and general disenfranchisement had been carried out by the then South African Defence Force. The association is also calling for reparations to be paid and that an arbitrator be appointed to negotiate a settlement that government would need to pay. Republican reports that the University of Namibia is suing the Deputy Minister of Health and Social Services for thousands of dollars after she allegedly failed to comply with an agreement for further studies. UNAM is suing for $840,987 Namibian from Dr. Esther Muyanjungue, which it paid for her part-time studies for her doctorate in social work from the 1st of January 2014 to the 31st of December 2017, and again for full-time studies at the University of Stellenbosch from the 1st of January 2017 to the 31st of December 2017, during the period she was employed as a lecturer by the University of Namibia. The Allgemeine Zeitung reports that trial of the alleged double murderer Ernest Lichtenstrasse, who allegedly murdered NIMT Executive Director Eckhard Müller and his deputy Heimo Helwig, resumed on Monday. Lichtenstrasse pleads not guilty to all charges. Lichtenstrasse, who allegedly murdered NIMT Executive Director Eckhard Müller and his deputy Heimo Helwig on the 15th of April 2019, resumed on Monday. Deputy Prosecutor Antonia Verhoef yesterday questioned Lichtenstrasse's friend, farmer Peter van Eden. The witness said that he had been friends with Lichtenstrasse since 2014 and that Lichtenstrasse had visited him at his farm from time to time for shooting practice. The Namibian police, the Namibian reports that the Namibian police have sent a team of police officers to Zambia to investigate the killing of 7 Namibian men on the 5th of December 2019. NAMPOL head Sebastian de Tunga confirmed this to the Namibian yesterday. He said 7 police officers and a pathologist left Namibia for Zambia on Sunday and are expected to return before the end of the week. 2 weeks ago, the Ohangwena police and their Zambian counterparts exhumed the bodies of 4 Namibian citizens who were killed by police officers in Zambia 2 years ago. New Era reports that a resident of Tes in the Keetmanshoop district, who claimed during his plea on 2 murders and 3 attempted charges that he was too drunk at the time of committing the offenses to remember what transpired, and was sentenced to 50 years imprisonment. Windhoek High Court Judge Claudia Claassen convicted Ronaldo Goliath, who is 31 years old, on 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 2 counts of assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm. He was convicted for stabbing to death Samuel Joseph and Julius Hangue and attempting to murder Chedrick Williams, as well as assaulting Alfred Kisting and Ramantha Hill with intent to cause grievous bodily harm.
If you're feeling how I'm feeling and you know I won't stop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it and you'll never let it drop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, maybe even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. I've been your host, Priska Anyolo, and we do wish you to have a lovely day today and to please stay safe. Do stay tuned for the weather as well.